Today someone has asked me, how did I do my Winnie the Pooh with my Cricut machine? Remember now, I fixed him, I cut him, I sliced him using the Cameo machine. Sorry, I sliced him up using my Silhouette software for my Cricut machine. And Carmen was asking, hey Patty Ann, how do you use that in Cricut? Do I save it as an SVG since it's been cut? Do I save it as a JPEG? I'm going to show you how, in case you're not sure about this part of using Silhouette for your Cricut. So join me at my computer and let's get started. Okay, just to refresh your memory, remember, by the way, if you want the whole thing, I did a whole long video showing how to go from start to finish, including adding the sticks and making him be a stand-up Winnie the Pooh that is about 27 inches tall. But I'll just do a real quick review here and then add in the part for the Cricut. So here's Winnie that I found online. First thing I had to do was I had to trace him. So I came over here to the trace tool, select the trace area, and I traced him. And I went ahead and moved my threshold up a little bit so it went all the way around all these lines. And again, I go into great detail in the other video, which I will link at the end of this one or up above. So since this is going to be a print then cut, I will say trace and detach. And that gives me this Winnie the Pooh, and believe it or not, there's a little line where you can see it here that I don't need anymore, and I'm going to delete by highlighting it and just hitting delete on my keyboard. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add that nice white offset on him because I think that makes the images look really nice. So I'm going to come over here to the star, which is the offset panel. If you hover over it, you'll see those words. Click on that and say offset. Whoops, it won't work yet until I click on something to offset, and then come over here and click the word offset. So notice I put a really nice offset around him just like that. And I'm going to change its color by coming up here and making it white. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab both things, right click and say group. Alright, so again, refer back to my other video where I show you how perfect this program works for cutting up things as opposed to maybe using Cricut Design Space, because you don't just have to slice him with blocks or circles or whatever. You can actually take this knife tool right here, come up here, have it say solid. I'm going to change it from straight to poly, and I'm going to uncheck auto apply. So what that's going to allow me to do is just scroll right in here, and I can just follow any lines I want to. Instead of having to cut straight across him with a box, I can follow these lines and I can hide them when I'm taping him together so easily, whether it be just because I can do that, or you know, when I tape it, they don't show up, or if I'm going to use stickles or glitter in these areas. So again, knife tool, solid, poly, auto apply unchecked. So I'm just going to start right here, and I'll do just what I did in that other video. I click, click. Every time I click, I'm adding a little cut area or a little point. So I'm just going to click like this and follow his neckline, just like that. So you'll see how this is totally different than what I can do in some other programs, because I'm able to make it make a little bit more sense what I'm doing. Whoops! I want to follow his face. I almost messed up. So I'm going to come right up here and here, and then I'm just going to go out here and double click to end it. If I don't double click, that little knife tool thing is going to stay hooked up to my mouse. So I'm going to double click and that ends it. And then, since I had auto apply unchecked, nothing has happened yet. But what I'm going to do is hit the word apply, and that's going to make that cut right there. But before I move anything, I am going to grab both of these two pieces, right click and say group. So now we have his head just like this. So let's scroll out a little bit. So let's just assume, oopsie, I always forget to do that. As soon as you cut it apart, you need to group back all the pieces. So now that's a group. So then what I could do is I'll just come in here and do one more bit of this. So I'll scroll in so you can see. And I'm going to come over here again to the knife tool, solid, poly, auto apply unchecked, and I'm just going to take off his little, or go on his little shirt. So I'm going to go right here, then up his arm, and here, and then across here. And you know, wherever you cut is up to you, whatever's going to fit on the mat that you have available to you. So I'm just cutting this like this, right along here. I think I'll go right down here. And then just right out here, again, this stays connected until I double click. Nothing's happened yet. I need to come up here and say apply. And then that cut has been made. So again, what I need to do is go across these two pieces. And the two pieces I'm speaking of are the offset, the white piece, and then his little shirt. Right click and say group. And this time I'm remembering, before I move this piece, I'm going to grab it all and group. All right, so I'm going to move that piece off of there for now. I'm just going to leave these two pieces on the mat so I can now show you how to use this in Cricut Design Space. There's a couple different ways. You could, if you wanted to, do each one of these pieces individually, and that would work perfectly. The first thing I'll do, though, is I'll just show you how you can do it. I think I'll just do it individually. So I'm going to take this piece, select it, and I'm going to come up here to File, Save Selection, Save to Hard Drive, and I'm going to save this as a JPEG. So I'm going to name this Winnie the Pooh for Cricut shirt. Okay, did I spell it? Yep. So it's silhouette file right now. I'm going to save it as a JPEG. Now remember, you won't be able to do this for your Cricut machine unless you have the business edition of the Silhouette software. It's a one-time purchase. It's like $48. It's yours to own forever and ever. And I do have a link for it down below, so check that out if you're interested. But you're going to save it as a JPEG. Say OK. And I'm going to leave these numbers just as they are and say save. So then I'm going to open Cricut, and I've already done some things here, but I'm going to upload this new image, browse. It was Winnie the Pooh. Here we go. Pooh Cricut shirt. I'm going to click on that and say open. There it is. I'm going to say complex and continue. And now this is a place you might have to change something. I'm going to click right here to get rid of the stuff, the invisible things behind it, or what I want to be transparent. If by any chance it went ahead and grabbed the white offset that you made, what you might have to do sometimes, and I'll show you that in just a sec, is come up here to Advanced Options, and instead of having the color tolerance be 16, start by trying to make it 14. So for example, let's see, I can probably mess this one up if I want to. I'm going to undo. Okay, I'm going to change this tolerance really high, and I'm going to click right here and see how that kind of got rid of my white offset. So what I would do is hit the undo button. Then what I would do is change this tolerance to 14 to try that to see if it worked. And sure enough, that works perfectly. It leaves my white offset. Just click around here to get rid of this stuff and then say continue. And the other thing I really like to do is, before I save this one, I check this out over here. I want to make sure that there's not a bunch of jaggedy lines over here. If there are, my tolerance was wrong. I need to go back and try something else. So what I would do now, though, is I'm going to save this as a print and cut. Go save. Here it comes in, and I'll say insert it. So that's the other part I'd already done of him. And I can resize this to however I want. And I can actually bring in the other pieces. Let me get rid of this part. Bring in the other pieces, and we can see how that's going to work. So let's go back to Silhouette. Oh, and remember on my other one that I showed you, and I recommend that you watch it highly, because I added on that extra stuff here that makes it so much easier when you're taping these pieces together. The other thing that you might want to do, if ever you find that that little red line is showing up in Cricut, is over here, when you're getting ready to send this, you can change the line color, which is right up here in the upper left-hand corner. I I can change it to a very light gray color, okay? So it's hardly going to show up at all. So this time I'm going to put both of these here and show you what I would do if I wanted to bring more things over at once than just one thing at a time. So I'd make sure there's a lot of space between them because I'm going to be needing to slice over there in Cricut Design Space. So I would grab both of these, come over here to File, Save Selection, Save to Hard Drive, and I'll name this Winnie the Pooh head for Cricut. We know it's his head and his body, but we'll leave it like that. And I'm going to change this again to JPEG. Again, if JPEG doesn't show up, it's because you do not have the business edition. So JPEG, okay. Leave these numbers as they are. Save. Come over to Cricut, upload, upload an image, browse. It was head for, there it is. Nope. Winnie the Pooh head for Cricut. There we go. Open. Okay, looking good. Complex. Continue. And now I'm going to do this. Oh, look, there's one of those cases where, look, it got rid of my white line. Because remember, I made that a light gray. So I'm going to undo this. And I'm going to change my options. The color tolerance. I'm going to start by just making it 14 to see if that works. Nope. So I'm going to undo. Change my tolerance. I just go by 2 by 2, 12. Okay, look at that. That worked. Perfect. Okay, so I still have my outline around both of these. So I'll say continue. I'm going to look over here again like I told you to make sure there's not a bunch of jagged lines, and this looks fine. Look, though, I missed something. See that? I wondered about that squared off edge right there, and I missed something. So I'm going to have to go back by using this button right down here and start that again. Make sure that the tolerance was what, 12? Click here, and my offset are staying, offsets. And for some reason that one went away this time, so I can go continue. Perfect, look. So that's really great. I'll just say save. It says my image uploaded successfully, so I'll click on it to insert it. Okay, so now we have this, and actually I could leave this like this because I could do both of them at one time. Let me get rid of this piece. And if I went to make it, it's going to be a problem maybe though, because remember I'm making this really, really big, so it's not going to work. So what do we do here in Cricut Design Space if it's too big? Well, we made these pieces so they'll fit over there, I believe. So what we could do is come here to the shapes, get a square, take the square, and make it large enough to fit over his head, and then grab both the square and the other part and say slice. And that allows us to get rid of this piece, delete, this piece, delete, and now these two pieces are separate. So now it will probably work. So let's check it out. Make it. Look at that. It's going to work perfectly now. And we can't really see the white around his head or the color, but remember, because we made it that light gray color. But if we cancel this and look again, since I changed the canvas color down here, you know, ordinarily it's white. And a lot of times you wonder, well, what in the world is going to cut here? Okay, so I've taught this a lot. You need to remember when you're doing print and cut and you're worried about what is going to cut. Is it going to cut out his nose? Is it going to cut out his eyes? You'll be able to tell a lot by just coming down here to where it says blank canvas, click on that, then come way up here where it says color and click on that and make the backing any color you want. And then you can see what is going to cut. It's going to cut here and around the outside of that. And then if I still had his shirt, we could put that in here and it would fit perfectly. So that's it. That's how easy it is to take what you make in silhouette that's going to fit together perfectly, that you can make a beautiful print and cut. The edges are going to fit together nicely, just like a jigsaw puzzle, and you can use it for Cricut Design Space or your Cricut machine, whether it be a Cameo, whether it be a Maker or a Cricut Explorer Air 2 like I have. So thanks for joining me. If you like my videos, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. And hey, we're going to be having a retreat in October. Stay in the mountains of western North Carolina. If you're anywhere near us, or you like to fly or drive, stay tuned, because we're going to be giving you details Monday, which is tomorrow, January 20th. Thanks again, you guys. Bye-bye.